What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? It's your boy Goblin, and today we're coming in with a banger of a video. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Drop a like if you do. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And also, real quick before we dive into the video, let's take a moment to talk about our friends at MyBookie. This video is brought to you guys by MyBookie. With the NFL season in full swing, we've got an exciting season ahead of us. With a ton of great games this weekend, like the Bills on the Dolphins and the Lions on the Vikings, you can't miss out with MyBookie. Just sign up today using code GOBLIN to claim your double deposit bonus, and your first deposit will be doubled up to $1,000. All you have to do is head over to MyBookie and sign up using code GOBLIN today. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. Big shout out to them. Now let's dive into the video. So this happened quite literally 2 days ago. I mean, I don't think this incident could have been any more recent. Now, on this particular day, I had a very generous amount of weed. I was just recently out in LA filming with the homies, and I linked up with the boys at Pine Park. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what Pine Park is, I'll give a little bit of background information. Pine Park is a weed company that is run by the guys who own Optic Gaming. So it's like gamer weed. That's basically the best dumbed down way I can explain it. But they have some fire, and I was linking up with them to film a podcast, which, by the way, you can watch on the Pine Park channel now. It's out right now. But that's off topic. Back on topic here. So I linked up with them, and after we got done filming the podcast, they asked me if I wanted some weed to do a stash and dash with, and I figured they were just going to give me like a half ounce or something, but as I'm leaving the podcast studio, they hand me this giant bag, and this bag is filled to the brim with eighth bags. I'm not talking like 10 of them. I'm not talking 20 of them. There was over 30 eighth bags in this container. If you do the math, 32 eighths is a QP. We had a lot of goddamn weed to give away. So I had no idea what to do with this at this point. They sent me packing with this bag, and I went back to my hotel, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm thinking, I'm like, yo, what the hell do I do with this much weed to give away? I already had more than enough weed for myself. I didn't really want to be greedy and keep it, so I was like, well, I guess we're just going to have some fun with it. So I hit up my boy Erick. You guys definitely know him as Erick Khan, but I hit up Erick, and I'm like, yo, we got to stash and dash this shit. Let's do like a collab. Because they gave him the same amount of weed to stash and dash. So I was like, dude, it's time to do this shit. So the following day, after they handed me this giant bag of weed, I Uber over to Erick's house, and I'm chilling there with him and Attila. We're all kicking it on his couch. We take a little bit of shrooms. Attila and I take quite a bit more because every time I do shrooms with Attila, he pressures me. He's like, yo, what if you just took another piece? And I'm like, shut the fuck up. And he's like, think about it. You take another piece and trip harder. And every time he gets me to do it, and this was one of the times where he got me to do it, like pretty much every other time. So he eats a couple pieces off these shroom chocolates we had. I had a couple more pieces off these shroom chocolates. And mind you, the dosage on these chocolates is very generous. Oh, even on the back of the box, it says that 1 piece is a microdose, 2 pieces is what they call therapeutic, and 3 pieces is what they call utopia, which means you're tripping. I'm telling you dickheads right now, that's a lie. 2 pieces is utopia, and I don't care what anyone says. It's not a full-on, like, balls-to-the-wall trip, but I'm telling you, I eat 2 pieces off these bars, and I trip sack. They're lying to you. So either way, I eat a couple pieces, Attila has a couple pieces, and now we're all sitting in Erick's living room taking some dabs and smoking some weed. We're trying to figure out what to do with this quantity of weed that we aren't keeping, because obviously we can't just leave the whole bag in one spot, you know? Realistically, if we do a stash and dash with that, people are probably gonna fight over that. I mean, I know if my young tweaker self saw some guy walking around with a QP, yeah, I'd probably fight him for that, you know? I mean, that's a lot of weed. So we're sitting there kind of discussing what to do, and we're like, yo, what if we just hop in the car, we go scout out some areas to stash and dash, and while we're doing that, we just hand out the weed to homeless people. Now, normally it would take a while to hand out the weed to homeless people, but you have to remember, we're in LA, so it's a little different. 1 in like 5 people walking down the street is homeless, and at night it's probably closer to 1 in 3. So listen, we would not have a problem finding some people to take this weed. The problem is sometimes when you try to talk to the tweakers, they get like a little crazy, you know? Sometimes they're so wonked out, they don't even really like understand what you're trying to say to them. I mean, there's been a few times where I was sitting outside of a restaurant out there, and there was one time in particular, some dude came up with a suitcase. He had a suitcase and a backpack, and he just started speaking the gospel, dude. He just started going off. He was like, I'm on the path of God. I'm here to do no wrong. And I'm like, yo, I mean, that's chill, respect, but like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, you know, if we just kind of scope them out, profile them a little bit, make sure they look chill, look for like the stoner tweakers, not like the meth tweakers, then we're probably good, you know? So that's what we did. We hopped in Erick's car. I, at this point, was tripping balls. Not like full on everything's moving kind of trip, but one of those trips where you kind of stand up and you look around you and you're just like, fuck. When it comes to shrooms, I feel like a lot of the time I don't notice how much I'm tripping until my environment changes. So as we're standing inside of Erick's place, you know, taking some rips, I didn't really notice how hard I was really feeling those chocolates. But once we walked outside to go hop in Erick's car and do this stash and dash, I was like, holy fuck, man. It's kind of hard to describe shroom visuals. It's very different from acid. I can describe acid visuals very easily, but shrooms, you know, I've kind of more recently started taking a lot. So I'm still kind of new to them, honestly. I mean, in the grand scope of things, I mean, my God, I've been tweaking off the coke for like fucking 6 years. I mean, I'm sober now, but I've been on and off a coke head for a long time in my younger days. So I have a lot more experience with my other substances than I do my shrooms. But the best way that I would describe shrooms is it's like it almost makes every object look like a little neon sign in the way that it has like a colored glow around it. You know, I look at a building, for example, it's got like almost this little outline, this little like colored outline. I look at a fence, I look at a car, the color's just glowing. It's got almost this little outline, you know, like it's got a colored drop shadow or something. It's honestly really tough for me to describe, but in the lower doses where I'm not full on tripping balls and everything's moving, that's typically the visual experience I get. And when I walked outside of Erick's place, that is the experience that was really hitting me in the face. I was standing there just looking up at the sky. The stars were just glowing. And it's LA, so you're not seeing a lot of stars, but the shit I could see was glowing. I mean, I'm looking around. I look over at Erick's car. He's got this new M3. It's glowing. It's beautiful. I'm looking at the windows of the houses around us and the light pouring out of them. Almost looks like it's flowing out like a river, you know? It's just, it was so sick. I love the visuals on shrooms because in lower doses, they're so chill, you know? It's not overwhelming. It just enhances what's around you. It doesn't make things unrecognizable. That's the mistake that I made when I was younger. When I first tried shrooms in high school, I took around 4 grams, give or take, for my first trip because my friend told me that that's a great starter dose. I now know that that's an absolutely terrible starter dose, and to this day, even with my shroom tolerance, I would still not take 4 grams. But that's off topic. So back on topic. I'm tripping balls. I've got a QP in a bag with me, and we hop in Erick's car and pull off. Now, we're trying to drive around, you know, look around, drive a little further away from his house, because obviously we don't want to tweet some shit that's like across the street from this dude's house. So we're cruising a little bit, and we've got our windows all down. Attila's on one side of the car in the back seat. I'm on the other side. We're looking out the windows, and we've each got some eighths in our hands, just getting ready. We drove past a few of those little tent camps that you see on the sidewalk, and I was just tossing eighths. You know, I didn't see anyone out there, but I figured it was late at night. They probably were back, you know, sleeping in there. So I tossed some eighths, so they had a nice little wake up. You know, they woke up, got an eighth of some za, and maybe they got to smoke that for the day. You know, that's a step in the right direction. So I tossed the eighths out there. Then we pulled up on this one guy. He had a backpack, he had a ton of luggage, but the reason that I thought he was a stoner is because he kind of looked like Shaggy. He even had a green shirt on. He had like some scruffed hair, and I was like, yo, that guy's gonna smoke this weed. So I pulled up, and I say out the window, I'm like, yo, you want some weed? And he kind of hesitates, you know? He like doesn't say anything. He just looks at me at first, and I say it again. I'm like, you want some weed, man? And he's like, yeah, you know? So he comes over, grabs it, and I'm like, thanks, have a good one, you know? And just pull off. It was really fun, honestly, you know? I enjoy giving weed out to homeless people more than I enjoy giving money because, you know, you never know what they're gonna do with the money. Some of them are gonna do something good with it, and that's great. But with the weed, you know they're smoking that shit, man. You know they're smoking that shit. I could tell that guy was going to smoke that shit. I probably would have given him money too, but honestly, I don't even carry cash. So it's 2022, man. Carry some cards, you know? I think the only time I get cash is when I go to the dispensary. You know, that's like the only time I get money. But either, especially in LA at night, yo, I'm not walking around with cash, brother. I'm telling you right now. But either way, back on topic here. So we're cruising around, we're handing out this weed, having a good time, and then finally we decide to find a stash and dash spot. After maybe, I would say 15 minutes or so of tossing this weed out, I looked in my bag and I'd say I had maybe 3 ounces left in there. I didn't count the exact amount, we're still cruising around in the car, so this is a guesstimate here, but I'd given out probably maybe 10 of the bags at this point, so we're around 3 ounces left, and I was like, yo, let's just go stash and dash it. We all kind of agree. You know, the shrooms are hitting me and Attila. Erick's cruising. And Erick obviously wants to take some shrooms too, so we're trying to get done with the driving. So we're like, yo, let's go stash this shit now. So we're cruising around a little bit, and we drive past this grocery store. I don't remember the name of it. I think it started with a G. But either way, we drive past this grocery store, and there's just this huge empty parking lot. There's no one around. Everything's chill. So I'm like, yo, this is perfect, boys. You know, we can just go stash it in a little bush here. We pull into the parking lot, and we're kind of cruising around the lot a little bit, looking around, trying to find the best spot. And I spot this little tiny corner spot with a bush right up against it. Perfect spot. There's some signs that are just over the spot, so it's super easy to see. So I take the whole bag of like 3 zips in there, and I just leave it in the corner of the spot by the bush. And I take a little video, and those of you guys who follow me on Twitter or Instagram, or even have me on Snapchat, you probably saw this if you were fast enough. Maybe some of you saw it, or if you follow Erick Khan, you probably also saw it because we both posted this. But either way, I go and I stash my weed in this little corner spot of the bush. And listen, man, stash and dashes are just my favorite shit ever. I mean, I always think of, you know, if my younger self just found a QP in a bush one day, and that's like something that Jesus would leave behind, you know? I mean, I genuinely think I would have started going to church if I found that when I was younger. I would have been in such disbelief, I would have been like, there's no one who could have done this except for Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. I'm fucking going to church. But that never happened, therefore I haven't been in like 20 years. But that's off topic. On topic here, I love doing stash and dashes. It makes me feel like a good person, you know? It's like, I just love making people happy like that, you know? Making the stoners lit, you know? And we stashed that bag in a bush. Me and Erick, we both tweeted out, and we parked across the street and just kind of waited. We found this little low-key spot, you know? We're kind of staking it out. It's like we're doing a hit, dude. It's like we're about to spin the block. We're sitting there just waiting for someone to pull up, and Attila has a timer going, and after maybe like, I believe it was 7.5 minutes, the first car pulls up. And at first they don't quite spot it. You know, they're kind of looking around the parking lot a little bit. And then they pull up to the spot, and we knew for sure that these were people there for the stash and dash. Now, normally I wouldn't have done it in a grocery store parking lot because it would probably get found. But it was like 11 p.m. at this point. The store was not open. So we were chilling. But these dudes hop out of the car, and we're sitting across the street, mind you, pretty far away, and we can hear them yelling about it. They're like, yo, we can hear them yelling about it. They're so hyped. And I see them hold up the bag. We're like, yeah, they got it for sure. Not even 60 seconds later, I'm scrolling through my Twitter, and they tweeted a video of it at me. I'm not going to post it here, you know, because I don't know if they want me to, but if you guys want to see that video, it's on my Twitter right now. Just scroll down, look for a video I retweeted it. I mean, it's hard to recognize. I don't tweet that much, you know? You're not going to have that hard of a time finding it. But either way, if you do want to find it, that's on my Twitter. So we throw this QP in the bush, and these kids find it, and they are lit, dude. And I was like, yo, he had a group of his homies with him in the video, and I was like, perfect people to find it. A group of homies who can sesh with it. You know, they break it down. There's like 3 or 4 of them. They get like a zip each. Dude, that's dope. You know, that's great. So we pull off after we see them grab it, and we head out, right? Now, apparently, from what I saw on Twitter, way more people pulled up right after those guys. So, I mean, I don't know how many people ended up pulling up and getting disappointed, but even in the video, those guys were like, yo, let's get the fuck out of here. And they were probably right, because, I mean, that was still a very generous amount of weed to leave in a bush, you know? I mean, I didn't tweet the amount of weed that was left for that reason, but, you know, I just figured that if my fiend audience all met up in a parking lot and one guy was holding a quarter pound, that would not end super well. So I didn't tweet the amount. I was just like, yeah, just there's some weed there, you know? But either way, now it's time to go to dinner. We cruise over to one of our favorite spots in LA. I'm going to give a big shout out here. Hello Fish. It's a sushi place. These fuckers are open until like 2 a.m. It's all you can eat for $50 a person, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, this place is incredible, boys. It's fantastic. We go here all the time, tripping balls off the shrooms, because there's just the neon lights. They got the fake grass walls, the vibe. It's a dope spot. So we cruise on over there, and we head into Hello Fish and just have an absolute feast. Now, mind you, we're feeling the shrooms at this point. You know, me and Attila, I mean, we are tripping dick. We're tripping balls, right? So I'm sitting at the table and I'm just looking at the neons, enjoying myself, but I'm not tripping too hard to have a meal, you know? I'm still feeling good, feeling great. I'm ready to eat. I hadn't eaten all day. The only piece of food I'd eaten all day was my shrooms. So I'm like, yo, let's get in this shit, you know? We end up having some sake, you know, enjoying some shots. Or no, actually, I think was it soju or sake? I don't know. Either way, we had some very delicious Japanese liquor. It was fantastic. We enjoyed our sushi, and we headed out of there and went back to Erick's about an hour or so later, maybe a little longer. We played credit card roulette also, and I got destroyed. Now, every time the three of us go out to dinner, not every time, but most of the time that the three of us go out to dinner together, we play credit card roulette, right? It's the way to go. Erick was an unbelievable 0-4 prior to this meal. This man paid for our meals every time we played, quite literally, like from the inception of our credit card roulette bracket. This man has paid every time, but finally, on this fateful night, it was my turn to lose, and she picked my card, and I got destroyed. I had to pay, but it wasn't that bad. It was, like I said, it was $50 a person, including all the, you know, the liquor we got and everything. It was like $300, so it could have been worse. Erick definitely has spent way more than that over his career net losses, but either way, we finish off our dinner and we skedaddle on out of there. We cruise back over to Erick's place and we are chilling. It's time to take some more shrooms, ladies and gents. We get back up to his living room and we each eat some more chocolate. Of course, Attila peer pressures me into eating another piece and a half because one more piece is not enough. So I'm like, well, you're a dickhead, but I'll do it. So we eat that, and we're all chilling on the couch. We got the neon lights going, we're vibing out, and we're just chain smoking. I mean, we're going from bong to rig to bong to rig to joint. We're going absolutely ape shit out here, just smoking as much pack as we possibly can to enhance that trip. However, because I had taken those two pieces quite a while ago at this point, by the time we got back to Erick's, I was already kind of mellowing out, and the redose that I'd just taken didn't really do a ton for me. I mean, yeah, it brought me up more, but it didn't necessarily get me tripping off my rocker, you know? I wasn't the same level I was as when I first walked outside of Erick's house and was just looking around like, damn. You know, even Attila made a comment to me when we first walked out of Erick's house earlier in the night. He was like, dude, I didn't realize how hard I was tripping. I was like, yeah, that's the way it be, brother. But either way, we chilled out there, tripping balls, having a good time, and eventually the clock just disappeared, and it was 3 a.m. when I checked my phone. So I got myself an Uber back to the hotel because I had to get some rest. This was like my last night in LA, you know? I mean, this was my last real night, so I had to get some rest. So I Ubered back to the hotel. I think Attila just crashed on Erick's couch, and I knocked the fuck out when I got back to my hotel. Now, this is totally off topic, but I was kind of pissed. The next day, I woke up, and I called the hotel staff, the front desk, to ask for a late checkout. Every hotel I've ever been to will give you a late checkout, even if they charge you for it, right? I mean, they still offer the service. I called the front desk and I asked for a late checkout because I woke up late as fuck. They're just like, we don't do that. I'm at a Hilton, dog. I've never heard that in my life. Like, whose policy is that? These fucking rats. I just wanted to rant about it, get it out there. All right, either way. That's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this absolute banger today. Thank you guys for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, gamers.